Los Angeles Chargers at the New England Patriots. I said Los Angeles Chargers. I slipped up and said San Diego somewhere else this week.
Sky.
It's on
People in the British Isles think you're a moron.
The stupid British Isles people. No, I didn't mean that.
That really helped, yeah.
Yeah, that didn't help at all. They think I'm a moron. That's okay. It's my wife's fault because she insists on just calling them San Diego. And I said, honey, I need to discuss the Los Angeles Chargers many times this week. Don't mess with my head.
Uh-huh.
And she did. I was hearing San Diego over and over this week.
Yeah. The good news is everybody else still does it.
Yeah.
Like nobody's batting 1,000 for that. Everybody
it's okay. You just go, I said San Diego, LOL, move on.
My favorite thing was the picture from the Fox booth one day where Troy had like Los Angeles taped to the front of his monitor in giant sticky note.
That's what I need.
Yeah, you need one of those.
What are we looking for in this one, Sam? Chargers, can they pull the upset? They're playing at 10 a.m.
Again.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's the snow forecast has been on and off throughout the week. There's going to be snow. There's not going to be snow. It's going to be cold. It'll probably affect the pass game a little bit. We talked about the Chargers' defensive game plan, all those safeties they put out there last week. That's a game plan they usually use against a pass-heavy team. So do they do that again against the Patriots? Take out their linebackers, and it's Jaleel Addae, Desmond King's up in the box, Derwin James is in the box. Do they do that again?
What's interesting about that game plan is that I think it only works against essentially Lamar Jackson, right? And even then, I think it required help to work. So we talked about this, in the office before, that those guys were put in there because they have the speed to get to the edge and make sure that Lamar couldn't just outrun the linebackers into space.
Right.
So they took away all the option stuff off the back of this run-heavy offense that the Ravens run. Now, that could easily have led to the Ravens giving the ball to Gus Edwards every play and him racking up like 200 yards on the ground where they just dominated in the first matchup. But the interior guys from the Chargers really stood up to be counted. If you look at the run defense grades from those guys, Melvin Ingram was able to play a fantastic game coming down inside, killing that. So instead of Gus Edwards going off for this huge game, the kind of interior run defense, or the front line at least, not the lightweight linebackers, dominated. So it
was really good.
So we never got to see what happens when Marshall Yanda gets to the second level, gets his hands on a safety, just buries him 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. It never really became a problem. I don't know they're capable of doing that every week, and if the same thing happened this week, particularly with the beasts that the Patriots have on their offensive line, Shaq Mason getting his hands on a safety, like that's not going to go well. Trent Brown just engulfing a safety.
My whole thing with this, though, is to beat New England, you want to invite them to run. So the same game plan against the Rams. Like, no matter what decline Brady's gone through, our fifth-graded quarterback this year and all that stuff, he's still capable of putting together a good game, right? You'd rather take the ball out of his hands, put it in the run game's hands.
Yeah.
So if you put more safeties out there, you've got the range in the middle of the field where the Patriots love to throw the ball, especially off play action. You've got range in the middle, and then you invite them to run.
Yeah.
And the Patriots are the type of team, just the opposite of what the Rams were doing, right? When you invite them to run, they make the right call. You have a six-man box, and they've got the numbers advantage, they will run. Yeah. They usually don't bang their head against the wall. They take what's given. You can invite them to run the ball and then just hope your defensive line can have another big game.
Well, that's the thing. So that's why I'm not sure it's the best game plan, because you invite them to do that. They will do that. And I think they're pretty well set up to do it. So all you're doing is changing how they're moving the ball. You're not actually stopping them do it.
But if you're bad against the run versus bad against the pass, you might give up 24 points, 21 points, and you keep it tight. If you're bad against the pass, you give up 31, 38, and you're in trouble.
It's not like they're going to stop passing entirely. I think really all you're doing is slowing down potentially the rate at which they're putting up points.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily helping you prevent them put up points. I think the biggest thing in this game, though, is the other side of the ball. It's this Chargers offensive line, which has really been the thing that's held this team back for years, but particularly this year, they haven't had the same kind of injury laundry list that they've had in years past, right? They lost Hunter Henry earlier in the year, and he may be back.
He's back. Finally.
And it looked like, oh no, is this going to happen again? But then it stopped. They didn't have this giant onslaught of injuries that they normally have. And consequently, they've been really good. But their offensive line remains a real problem, particularly when they've had to go into the bench. because obviously this is like an NFL-wide problem, not just a Chargers-specific thing.
Yeah, backup offensive linemen.
Right. Starting 5 offensive linemen for most teams are not necessarily fantastic. The next 5 are terrible. They have pretty much no business being in the NFL. It's just that you need the warm bodies in case somebody goes down. Right? And that's what we're seeing.
Sam.
That's what we're seeing with the Chargers. Michael Schofield, Sam Tevi. I'm sure they're very nice guys, but they're terrible football players. And they have no business being on an NFL field. And yet they're going out there expected to stop the Patriots rushing the passer, and that's not going to go well. And it didn't go well, and they had to do it with the Ravens. The Ravens, over 2 games, pressured Phillip Rivers more than 50% of the time. Now, we've talked before that 45 is usually your cutoff point for forget about it, you're not winning.
Yeah.
Like, that's Rivers' baseline at this point. That's what he has to deal with.
This is still better than what they've been in recent years, though. I mean,
And that's what's hilarious about it.
my favorite description is Phillip Rivers throwing with like the walls caving in on him from all angles. There was so many plays over the last couple of years where they were collapsing from 4 different angles, and he's got his little sidearm flip over all of them, and he's still really good when he does it. So yeah, that'll be a matchup to watch for sure. Trey Flowers, they move him around quite a bit. Really, both sides of the ball. We saw last week Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram moving around quite a bit, lining up over guards, lining up over tackles. Trey Flowers will do that for New England. Is this a game where Adrian Claiborne can step up for New England and pick up some pressure? I mean, because they're not a great pure pass rushing team, but they've blitzed and gotten after quarterbacks a lot more than they did under Matt Patricia this year. So Phillip Rivers under pressure, we've seen a lot more zero blitzes from the Patriots. Last week, that's when you've got no safeties behind. Phillip Rivers hit a huge pass down the field against the Ravens zero blitz. So the Patriots scheme is going to look a little bit similar to what they saw from the Ravens.
The Chargers are a team that should easily be in Super Bowl contention, but they have the same issue that we talked about in terms of everything's on the quarterback. Like, Phillip Rivers at the moment is being asked to do more than it's reasonable to expect Phillip Rivers to do. Now, he's one of the few quarterbacks in the NFL that's actually capable of doing it for an extended period of time.
You mean just based off the offensive line? Because I see a pretty nice little supporting cast here, too.
Yeah, based off the offensive line.
Based off the line, yes. But when you have Keenan Allen, mismatch weapon, they use him almost split in the slot and outside. Mike Williams has really emerged in recent weeks, looking like a first-round pick. Antonio Gates can still get open.
Yeah.
Despite, looking like an offensive tackle. Hunter Henry might be back. Melvin Gordon's banged up. He's a little touch and go, but they've gotten great production out of their running back. I mean, they've got a really good group to throw to as well.
They do, but the weight of pressure that Rivers is under at the moment is higher than it is reasonable to expect a quarterback to play well for any period of time under. Now, people have done it in the past, and they've done it for stretches, but at some point the wheels fall off that. We saw it with Kirk Cousins earlier in the season. First half, he was playing really well under pressure, and then eventually it came back down to earth. It came back to haunt them. And I think the same thing is going to happen at some point to the Chargers. I don't know if it's going to be this week or not, but we're reaching the point where he's been doing it for a while now, and it can't sustain for that long.
Where was he ranked? He was like top 3 regular season, right?
Well, he started. It's the same. Pressure. It's kind of the same as the Kirk Cousins thing, right? He was number 1 for a long time. And then the longer this thing goes, the further down the list he's slipping. Right now, including the wild card round, he's 8th in passer rating under pressure.
Oh, yeah, because last week it came down.
And heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah. So last week it came down quite a bit. So, Rivers, here's the other one, too. Against man coverage, he's only 22nd in completion percentage. Patriots play more man coverage than any team in the NFL. So I think the Patriots do a good job. They're the 3rd best in opposing completion percentage when playing man as well. So the Patriots do a really good job of just making throws difficult. Brady against the Chargers defense, we've seen in the past these cover 3, cover 1 teams, the Gus Bradley defenses. Brady's had pretty good success, especially when they sit in their zones. And the Chargers last week, they played just pure cover 3 zone. The Patriots feel like the team where you should go to the cover 1 part of that scheme, right? Play a little bit more man coverage. I want to see if the Chargers are a little bit more aggressive because the Patriots don't have a ton of good options against man coverage.
Right. It's been the same.
Unless Gronk all of a sudden becomes superhuman after
becomes
the bye.
Gronk again?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Not for the Chargers, but for people watching.
I would do anything to see peak Gronk, like Gronk comes back and going up against Derwin. Derwin, for everything, we pulled out even more numbers that showed how awesome he is. Lowest yards per attempt when covering tight ends this year.
This was one of the dumbest draft misses in terms of why did he slip that far.
I know.
This was a top 5 player, clearly, from everything we've seen in college, from athleticism, from everything. And for some reason, he slipped all the way to the Chargers.
He's just, I mean, if you could duplicate him, because he can cover tight ends, he could play free safety, he could blitz, he could literally do it all.
Rush the passer, yeah.
He could be a legitimate edge rusher. So
Right.
Derwin could be the key here. I'm still going New England in this one.
Same home team. Plus
Both-
this thing, the Phillip Rivers pressure thing is going to be a problem.
You're holding on to that.
Yeah.
Could be crazy in the snow.